Why are you here? You're here to outwork. You're here to outtrain. You're here to win.
Hey, what's up, you wrestling fanatics? You're listening to episode 12 of the True Wrestling Podcast. Today, my dad will be talking about the quick hits from the weekend. And thanks to our sponsors, Adidas and Suples, I use all their equipment for training for wrestling.
Hey guys, what's happening? A couple things I want to talk about happened over the last week of wrestling. We had a couple of duels where, teams, they won against teams who were missing part of the lineup. So UNI lost to Pitt, and they were missing two of their good wrestlers or All-Americans. Michigan returned the favor from the beating Lehigh gave them last year, but Lehigh was missing a few starters also. So we can adjust rankings based on that, but when kids are injured, they're injured. It's not making an excuse. It's just that at ideal strength, the match would be different. So let's not read too much into it at this point. Lehigh has had injury trouble here for several years. I don't know if it's the strength and conditioning they're doing, or if they're just wrestling through bad positions, or they've just been serially unlucky. But there's something going on there. Couple other things. Hey, Dayton Fix and Gable Stevenson. These guys are putting the D1 wrestlers on notice here. Dayton had a couple nice wins, Lezak and Bridges. And Stevenson has been, showing nothing other than what people have been thinking about him before he came in. Is that he will probably end up the number one ranked heavyweight in the country. I could kind of see, one or two guys maybe giving him a little bit of trouble if they have the gas tank. But Stevenson has beaten, Wood from Lehigh, who was ranked in the top 8 pretty soundly. Now, Wood, he had some points he's given away in the past. Last time I saw them at who's number one. But I'm not sure if he can close that gap, even though he's got some great coaches over there. Lehigh's room is loaded with good heavyweights, and they got Zach Ray in there now also as a coach. And Dayton Fix, this guy is also on fire. Putting 133 on notice. Now, I know he's got a win in freestyle over Spencer Lee. I'm not sure if he and Nick Suriano have squared off in the past. 33 was loaded without the addition of Suriano and Fix. This is going to be a heck of a weight class. I just can't wait to see it. And, both guys are super fun to watch wrestle, Stevenson and Fix. So if you get a chance, check them out. Let's see, later this week, you can count on a Lehigh versus Penn State preview. I know Lehigh, we talked about, they're missing starters. So I'm not sure it's going to be quite the duel that it could be. Last year, both teams, I think, were down one or two starters. It was a really close match, came down to heavyweight. So, I look forward to that match. You can also look for coverage of, Penn is at Rider, and Princeton is at Lehigh on Friday night. Someone else I want to talk about, Drexel's Edmund Jarrell. He's a junior. I feel like he's been making some real strides. I got to watch him at the Keystone Classic, and I talked about him during the Keystone wrap-up. But this guy was a walk-on. And, he's got a win over Nebraska's Isaiah White, who's ranked in the top 10. Look, Nebraska is maybe not firing on all cylinders, but, Jarrell beat him. And then, he made his way to the finals. I know he got teched by Joseph, but this kid is just someone to keep an eye on. He's got a mentality that I just like to watch. I'm looking forward to watching him a little bit more this season. What else? I also recently just put an article up about ESPN. They're hemorrhaging subscribers and cash. They've been out there pretty much neglecting wrestling. I know. I'm a fan of them moving to covering all of the national tournament, but they have not done a ton of favors to the sport of wrestling in the past. And I think it really comes down to their politics that has really, they've lost a lot of subscribers. You can check that article out on true-wrestling.com. Couple notes from readers. I had a couple people asking me about, diet. Guys, everything that we've been taught by the FDA about diet is not necessarily accurate. And these people are not all doctors. Most of them are politicians and worse, lobbyists who have been writing what the FDA says are good guidelines. They're discovering that healthy fats and proteins, and when I say fats and proteins, I don't want to hear anybody saying McDonald's is bad for me. McDonald's is bad. No shit, okay? I'm not talking about fast food. I'm talking about salmon, wild salmon, or grass-raised beef, which has more omega-3s than wild salmon does. Avocados, nuts, sprouted almonds. These things are very healthy for us. And as wrestlers, you don't want to just be putting garbage in. It is your fuel. So I know, oh crap, I lost the commenter's name here. But he's been bugging me for months about the dietary thing. I am not a doctor, but I pay attention, and I'm telling you right now, the FDA food guidelines are not doing wrestlers any favors. J-Bo, you left a couple messages for me. Parents don't care about their kids other than winning. I know that you feel that way, and you see some of those parents at tournaments, but that's not the case with all parents. There are plenty of parents who use wrestling as a multidimensional activity for their kids to just become better people. All right? Anyway, so it's officially after Thanksgiving. So that means, I'm not a real consumer guy, but it's now the Christmas season. And if you guys are thinking about reaching out and giving me something for Christmas, I got some ideas for you. I got some ideas, and I'm just going to cover a few of them. And, if you can make this happen, I'll be eternally grateful. I think college and high school wrestling should figure two simple concepts out. One, that they need to incent what they want more of. Incent the type of wrestling they want more of, and penalize the type of wrestling they want less of. And the biggest thing that I see is the way to make the sport more entertaining and fun to watch at every level is more action, and trying to get the referee out of the judgment call making process. So I'm going to say I want a 3-point takedown, or the first takedown to be 3 points. I also am on record for a long time saying a takedown has to be worth more than double an escape. Anybody can practically get an escape unless you're under Ethan Lazak. So I want a 3-point takedown. I want the elimination of the tiebreaker rideout. I'm in favor of a 1 overtime period to settle the match, and then it goes to the first point scored, or the highest point. It could be like freestyle, but the rideout doesn't prove anything. And more times than not, it's boring because they're just trying to ride, and they're wet from sweating, and it doesn't show who the best wrestler is, and it does not incent action. I can go into more detail on that later, but maybe I'll write a story about it. Let's get rid of riding time unless it is tied to back points. If you ride someone for a minute and you get back points, you get an extra minute. But otherwise, let's get rid of riding time. No back points, no riding time. No just hanging on. Let's eliminate the escape point if the top wrestler determines he doesn't want to be on top in a position of control. So at a reset, they're going back to the center. Let's reward the guy who probably got the takedown and say, hey, cut him, and it's no point for the guy on bottom. What did he do to get that? I think that'll incent people to get more takedowns. Also, let's get rid of the rules against high amplitude moves. Throws are some of the most fun and exciting parts of senior level wrestling. And in high school, especially, they've been removed by the rule book. There's plenty of exciting techniques in our sport that are learnable and safe and, totally doable. And they used to be included in the sport. Now, if you just have one wrist trapped and you do a hip hop mat return in high school, it's a slam with one wrist trapped. I don't get it. Get rid of the slam for all but the most malicious moves. I've seen so many kids, or coaches I should say, forfeit a match because of injury, because of not even a slam, right? A heavy mat return. Heck, maybe I'm taking that personal because even in my own day, I know that I lost at least 3 matches. Kids got hip hop mat returned and they said they were hurt. So let's bring the high amplitude moves back into the high school sport, and they'll trickle back up to the college sport. Bo Nickel is a perfect example of a guy who's willing to go up top. So is Vincenzo Joseph. We want that kind of thing. We want that type of excitement. People able to attack upper body and lower body. And back in the day, if you were being aggressive and someone was shutting your singles and doubles down, or your high crotch, whatever the waist was, the moves were below the waist, you would go upper body and see what they had there. Lastly, let's reward a fall with an extra team point. During a duel, a fall to me, this is the ultimate form of dominance, and this is what folk style is all about. And it's worth more than 1 point, 1 team point, than a tech fall. Look, a tech fall could be exciting, and I'm all for having that as a 5-point victory. But I think a fall is worth more than that. And I think, introducing the tech fall, incented action, I think, incenting more points for an actual pin is going to incent more wrestlers, not just to look for tilts, but to look for real pinning combinations. Discouraging guys who are stalling, discouraging guys who are backing up or not wide open. These are the things that we want in wrestling, and this is what I want on my Christmas list. We want more bonus points incented. We want more falls incented. We want more action incented. I truly think one of the reasons David Taylor seems to have a larger legion of fans than Kyle Dake, even though Dake was a better college wrestler, is that Dake gave up a stalling point in a national finals match to Taylor. Come on. Reward what you want. Discourage what you don't want. So look, you guys have 3 or 4 weeks till Christmas. I hope you can get those for me for Christmas. Hey, Penn State fans, or Penn State wrestler fans, I cannot control who does an interview with me. I got so many uncharitable messages from you about not interviewing your favorite wrestler. All I can tell you is, if they don't want to talk, they don't have to talk. Coach Sanderson had me queued up for a bunch of funny questions for Bo Nickel about his hair, but he didn't want to talk about it. He doesn't like interviews. I know that about Bo, but I can't force him. So when you call me all sorts of names, tell me I'm destroying the internet, that I'm missing the opportunity, I can't control which wrestlers want to talk. So thank you for your nasty comments. You can file those away under nothing. And let's see, what else? I talked to you about doing a preview this week. So there's a couple good matches. And, Penn versus Ryder. Penn's got a bunch of young talent at the lightweights. Ryder, Trapea at 25. He looks good. That could be a rematch of the Keystone Classic. We'll see if they're healthy. And then Lehigh has Princeton on Friday night. I got to tell you, the way the Mountain Hawks are banged up, I'm not 100% positive that Princeton doesn't walk out of that. I'm going to put some feelers out before I do the preview and just see if I get anybody to tell me the starting lineup over there at Lehigh. But that's going to be a pretty competitive match. So that may be more competitive based on injuries than the Lehigh-Penn State match. I know the Cliff Keen is going on this weekend. There's going to be a ton of good wrestling there. You'll have to tune into Flow for that. And other than that, that's this week quick hits. Look for the preview of Penn State Lehigh. May even do a Lehigh Princeton preview based on the starters and combine them. All right, you crazy cats. I'll talk to you soon.